What is going on, everybody? So today we are going to be talking about why recruiters tell you to lie on your paperwork. Alright, so the vast majority of the people that watch my videos are people who are about to join the military, the Army specifically, and there is a sub-portion of you out there who haven't even gone and talked to a recruiter yet, and then there's some of you obviously who are in the process of speaking with a recruiter, going through the whole MEPS process and all that stuff. But today's video is kind of like a culmination of a few different topics, a few different questions that I've got, which is some people have asked me, like, why is it that recruiters are wanting you to lie on your paperwork? Other people are asking about, what are some ways that people get tripped up at MEPS? And I'm gonna kind of combine all that and also talk about why the recruiters are wanting you to maybe smudge on the truth just a little bit. So I know there's also some like recruiter YouTubers and stuff out there, or maybe just some regular Army recruiters that watch my videos or recommend my videos, and they're seeing this title and they're like, what the heck, Matt Ward? Like, why are you saying this? And honestly, I'm just gonna clear this up right out the way. It is completely true, in my opinion, that recruiters will sometimes tell new recruits, people to just, not mention things on their paperwork because, it's not a big deal. Like, this thing happened to you in the past, maybe you went to the doctor for it, but, it's not an issue now. So just go ahead, just say there's never been a problem. Don't mention anything like that. Essentially, lie when you're filling out your paperwork and when you're going to MEPS because, they're saying it is not going to be a big deal. And the reason for this is these recruiters, they've been doing this for a while. They've gone through the process quite a few times. And the reason that they're saying, hey, you might not want to mention that, is because they know it's just going to be more hassle for you. It's going to be more hassle for them to do the extra paperwork, to maybe have to go and get a waiver for something or another. But essentially, if you disclose every single tiny little minor issue that has happened to you over the course of your life, you put all that down on your paper, put it all down on your paperwork when you go to MEPS, like, it's just going to be a little bit more that you have to deal with, a little more questions that you have to deal with, a lot more places for you to stumble and get tripped up on at MEPS. But there's also another side to that, where if you do not mention something on your paperwork and then you go to MEPS, you can trip up on all of those things that aren't on your paperwork when somebody at MEPS asks you about it, and you kind of slip up essentially and say the truth about this thing that happened to you, but they're like, oh, it's not on your paperwork. Well, then you just get kicked and you have to redo the whole MEPS process. But essentially, the recruiters aren't trying to tell you to not mention that sprained ankle that you had to be malicious or bad or whatever it is. It's just they know that whatever issue that they're recommending to you to not mention on your paperwork is probably because it's not that big of a deal. Now, what happens to a lot of people out there is this kind of makes them paranoid. They feel like they're committing some mortal sin, like they're gonna have this fraudulent enlistment because they didn't mention that sprained ankle that they had, or whenever they were playing I think like little football. I don't know what the smallest league in football is called, but when they're 8 years old playing football and they had a really bad tackle and they hit their head or something, they're not mentioning that on their paperwork. So people get really paranoid about this stuff, and if they don't mention a few things on their paperwork with the recruiter, then when they go to MEPS, you basically have to fill out the exact same paperwork. And if something mismatches, people at MEPS, they will feel all this pressure from the people there saying that they're gonna go to jail, they're gonna get in trouble for fraudulent enlistment if anything comes up after the fact, and something didn't show up on your paperwork. And I promise you guys, if something like that is gonna be the case, like if you don't mention that you have a sprained ankle, then, or had a sprained ankle at some point in your life, then that's gonna be fine. You're not gonna get in trouble for fraudulent enlistment. But let's say you have a severe issue. If that comes up, like, you needed to disclose this. You needed to disclose these serious medical issues, and you didn't, so that's the problem. Now, I am not, and I'm gonna say this again, I am not going to get into all the ins and the outs, and should I mention this to my recruiter? Should I mention that to my recruiter? Should I not tell this to my recruiter? Should I put this on my paperwork? Is this something that is gonna cause me from not enlisting? Is that something that's gonna cause me from being medically, unable to join the military? I'm not gonna go into all that stuff. Every single time I talk about enlisting through MEPS, what to disclose, all that stuff, I get a quadrillion comments down in the comment section. Ask your recruiter, talk to your recruiter. They are going to be the person that is going to be able to answer these questions. When you go to MEPS, those are going to be the people that's going to answer these questions. I don't know everything about all the different medical issues and problems and stuff that can come into play. So I want to say that. So don't be asking me all those questions in the comments because I don't know. Ask your recruiter. But I want to close out this video in saying that probably the biggest reason that people fail MEPS, that they go to MEPS and everything is going to be perfectly fine, and then they get kicked back and they have to go through the whole process again, comes from people filling out their paperwork with their recruiter differently than filling out their paperwork with the MEPS officer, or saying something on your paperwork and then talking to the doctor when you're at MEPS and saying something that's kind of serious, like mentioning that freaking football head possible concussion kind of thing that happened to you in your past to the doctor when you're at MEPS, but that's not on your paperwork anywhere, so you're gonna get kicked back because of that. I just wanted to kind of close this video off with that, because recruiters are gonna want you to essentially not mention some things in your paperwork, because you don't need to put every single paper cut that you had on your paperwork when you're enlisting. But at the same time, if something feels kind of funky, if the recruiter is, one of those recruiters, and they want you to not disclose something that you feel is kind of serious, then don't listen to the recruiter. Disclose it, because it is something that's true. It is something that has happened to you. It's something that you're gonna feel bad about, in a sense, if you don't disclose it. So no harm, no foul. Go ahead and disclose that. The recruiter is there to help you, to work with you. So if you do find yourself with one that's kind of being like, hey, don't disclose this, that, and the other, then don't worry about it. Go ahead and disclose it, so you just have that on your paperwork. If it takes you an extra week or two to go through the process and whatever, then so be it. But when you get to MEPS, you don't have to worry about it anymore. So that is going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to subscribe to some more of my videos, hit the subscribe button. That would be even better. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat if you haven't already. Hope you guys have an amazing freaking day, and I will see y'all later.